Welcome to everyone. Today our guest again is Cage Warriors fighter Matthew Bonner, and we can arguably say the owner of the greatest upset of Cage Warriors in this trilogy, according to many fans. I was watching the Topology, I was watching many scores, records, and I think you were minus 240, something like that, plus 240, sorry. You were like very, very heavy, very heavy underdog in the match. I honestly think it's kind of unfair, because James Webb arguably is the best grappler at middleweight, maybe one of the best grapplers in the history of Cage Warriors competition. But you kept the fight standing, so how did you prepare for the fight? What were you doing? What were your routines, game plans? How were days in your life looking like?
We did an awful lot of cage work leading up to the fight. In terms of, for the James Webb fight, this was probably the most kind of videos and history I've looked on. I did a lot of research on James, and we saw from his previous fights that he did a lot of work on the cage. He'd double leg you to the cage, he'd take you down, and then maybe work a little bit of ground and pound, and then end up maybe subbing you or finishing the fight some way. So a lot of it revolved around defending his takedowns and not being taken down. And then if we did take me down, then working my way up as quick as possible.
So when he took you down, he took you like 2-3 times in round one, round two. So how did you scramble up so explosively? Against James Webb, it's a never easy thing because he closes the angle immediately. He shifts his weight immediately to the top of you.
It's strange because, again, watching his past fights, his takedowns to me always look quite easy to defend because he never dropped his level, he never dropped his knee. He would come in for the double leg like a what we'd call a blast double. So it was, and then obviously, like I said, he get to the cage and take him down. But I always figured that the takedowns were quite easy to defend. But then I thought maybe he's just really strong. Maybe when he takes him to the cage, he's a big boy. Maybe he's strong, or he can, his technique's better than I thought it was. But when I was in there, it just, the strength level just felt like I was 10 times stronger, and it felt like the guys we're trained with. Obviously, I trained Next Generation Liverpool. My teammates who were prepared with for the fight felt a lot stronger. So I just think I prepared really well. We just done an awful lot of I did from Paul Rimmer there, folks. But it just didn't feel anywhere as strong as I thought it was going to be, and that's not a dig on James. That's more a pat on the back for how we prepared for the fight, really.
Yeah, so when you're trapped against the cage, I mean, it's never easy to go for a reversal. So what was the secret behind going for the reversals? Every time he tried to take you down, you were going to the opposite side. That's what I've noticed.
That's right. I think that might come. I did a lot of Thai boxing when I was a kid. From 10 to 16, I fully focused on Thai boxing. My brother is a professional Thai boxer now. He's 5th in the UK, 12th in the world. And I think a lot of that came from feeling, in Thai boxing, you grab around the neck and you're throwing each other around. And you kind of get a feel for where their weight is. So I think that was probably why I was so successful there. I could feel that his weight was predominantly on one side. And then I'd almost tip him. I'd nudge him over to that side, and he'd, with his weight beyond that side anyway, he'd fly around, and that enabled me to get off the cage. Then the end of the second round was where I finished. That's exactly what happened. A reverse position, kept on the cage, and then finished off with some punches. So I imagine it does come a lot from, again, doing a lot of cage work beforehand, but with that Thai background as well at the same time.
Majority of my fans, while I was heading live for the fight, they said if Bonner keeps the fight standing, he wins 100%. If Webb drags it to the ground, it's like 90% for Webb. Do you agree with that, or?
I would have before the fight. The idea for us was to keep it standing as long as possible. I actually think if it had gone to the ground, I think I could have dealt with him there as well. I just feel like we prepared. I trained with a guy called Ben Hill, who's a very high-level brown belt on Next Gen. He's probably one of the best brown belts in the country. He'll compete on Polaris and all, the big grappling shows. And we've done an awful lot of work on working off the bottom, or getting up out of half guard, getting up out of side control, getting out of guard, and all the rest of it. I do feel like I figured the fight would eventually go to the mat. It wasn't a case of we need to keep it standing, and then if it goes to the mat, we're going to lose the round. It was a case of we can definitely win standing up. But if it did go to the ground, then I could protect myself and build my way back up to my feet at the same time. I think I could have finished him on the ground, maybe not with submissions because he's a black belt, but with ground and pound. I think if I took him down at the end of the second round, I think I would have finished him with ground and pound quite easily.
I've heard many negative comments about the surface in Cage Warriors. Many people say that it's kind of slippery, especially in the later matches. So, is that some particular problem, or it's like it depends when it happens?
I mean, I think I slipped once in there. I think James slipped once in there as well, but I don't think that's any more kind of unusual than any other canvas that I've been on before. If anything, Cage Warriors, they used to use it was like a vinyl sheet, or it's quite now that was quite slippy, especially if it was sweaty or maybe your cornerman spilt some water or something. The canvas that they're using now actually has a lot more friction on it than the previous one. So I do think it's probably just part of it. To be fair, I don't think that canvas that was on there that night certainly wasn't any more slippery than any other canvas that I've fought on before.
Last time we discussed, I forgot to ask you how does one day of your life looking like when you're preparing for the upcoming fight. So can you now discuss about that aspect of the game?
Yeah, sure. So on Monday, for instance, I'll be at Liverpool every morning. That's where I do my MMA training. I'll stay there for 2 hours. That'll be boxing pads with my new boxing coach, Nathan Brough. And then the second hour will be with Paul Rimmer or Ellis Hampson, which will be mainly based on grappling or wrestling based. Certainly MMA orientated, the second class will be. Then after that, I'll go home for some lunch, and then usually it's an S&C workout. I've got an S&C coach called Paul Reed, so he'll either set me out a workout which I'll complete at my gym because I own a gym as well, or I'll go and see him personally at his house. He has it's a garage, but I mean it's like you could fit about 5 cars in there. It's quite, we call it the barn. It's quite a big place. So he's got loads and loads of equipment in there. And so I'll do a session there, which is usually like 90 minutes long. And then I'll come back and I'll do a little bit of work. I'm a PT, so I pad people and train people myself. And then usually I'll maybe go like a 30-minute run or like a steady state walk, something like that, just to finish off the day. So usually Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays seem to be the busiest training days. And that'll probably be around 4 hours of training. Tuesdays and Thursdays are more kind of sparring based. So they tend to be kind of lower in terms of less time. And then weekends, I kind of spend my weekends again working and doing pads and doing a PT, and also I'll get some kind of active recovery in. So that might be walking or some kind of light exercise, which is going to just keep me kind of primed to go next week and be ready for another week of training.
Considering the fact that you defeated the guy who fought for the title and who previously was a champ, what are your plans right now? I mean, defeating a guy like that, it's like it opens up some big matches, right?
It does. I mean, they give me 2 options, or they suggested 2 options before the fight, and they said if you win this fight, then these options will present themselves. One of the options being a possible title shot against Frederick, and then there's another one which is like top secret, which I can't really talk about. I kind of wish I could, but I've kind of mum's the word on that. You have to keep your mouth shut on that, which is a massive opportunity. So I'm kind of waiting. It looks like both opportunities would come around the June time, which 2-3 months away. It's not far away at all. But yeah, I mean, I think I said some interview to Edith LaBelle after Cage or after the fight. You go and do your interview with Edith, which is Graham Boylan's fiance, I think. And I said, I don't really want to be fighting for a contendership anymore. I've beat 3 really strong guys. George Smith, like we mentioned, was on a 5-fight winning streak. Then I fought his coach, Matt Inman, who was, that was his 31st fight. And he's a bit of a UK MMA legend. And then I've just done James Webb in 2 rounds. It took Natius Frederick, the current champion, 9 rounds to stop him because they fought twice. So in terms of kind of fighting for that contendership, I think I've done more than enough. It's either the title shot or it's this other opportunity that I've mentioned. But I don't want to be doing any more fights, but those. I think we think strongly about turning anything down. But those two opportunities, to be honest.
Yeah, sounds great. So your plan, I assume, to keep the ball rolling, and let's see which option is gonna play out. I mean, and you say any option is good, so.
Well, yeah, this is what I keep saying to everyone. The worst case scenario for me is that I fight for a world title in June. So, I mean, and that's still ace. That still would be a dream come true to fight for the Cage Warriors title and obviously win it. So, I mean, I'm lucky enough to be in a really kind of good place at the moment, and there's these two opportunities that I've kind of come across. So, very fortunate to be moving up towards, hopefully being one of the best in Europe.
Yeah, sounds really much awesome. So, would you like to add something else to the interview, or would you like to give a shout out like last time you did?
Yeah, sure. I'll say thanks to all my training partners at Next Generation, all the coaches. Special thanks to Ben Kelly, who's been kind of like my main sparring partner, training partner leading up to the fight. And I think he's making his pro debut in August, so he'll smash that. He's got a big future ahead. He's a hell of a fighter. I thank my sponsors, Tunnel Vision, Feel Supreme, Essence of Nature, Pitbull Fightwear, and hopefully I've got a few more on the way soon as well. There's been quite a lot of interest in sponsorships after the fight. And thanks to my girlfriend, fiance actually, Leslie Haley. We're getting married in October, so I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Matthew. Good luck with your career, and hope to hear you another time. I mean, we will watch you fighting soon, I guess.
Definitely, yeah. Anytime you want me on, I'm more than willing to come on. I enjoy doing these things, so yeah.
Right. Thank you, Matthew. I will post this tomorrow. I will send you a link. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much.